Is there anything that you wish you could undo?
The day that my dad died. He died on this day in 1977. I was on my first honeymoon, actually, and I wish. And my last conversation with him was very hurried and rushed. About 4 days earlier, we were staying at my parents' house for a couple of days before going on a sort of slightly disjointed honeymoon down to the West Country. And Dad wanted to talk about stuff, and I was just preoccupied and in a hurry, and basically put him off and said, "Don't have time. Talk to you when I get back from the West Country." Yeah, okay, fine. That was on the Friday, and on the Monday he died. Came home from the office for his lunch, feeling very odd. He said to my mum as he came in through the front door, and a minute later he collapsed in her arms. So I've always regretted not having that last conversation with him. And I know it sounds a bit trivial, but that kind of regret never leaves you.
Yeah, I bet it doesn't.
He was only 49 when he died. He had just a coronary out of nowhere. Hadn't had any history of heart disease, and that took a lot of getting over. I was only 21. You know, that was a heavy blow. That's a regret. You asked the question. It may seem a narrow one, but it's real to me.
Absolutely.
And I wished I could turn the clock back. And sit with him, and say all the things that. I mean, it wasn't even as if he was diagnosed with cancer, and then you get the chance to, have some conversations.
Yeah.
He was just robbed from us.
Yeah, it came out of the blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you learn from him about being a parent?
Well, Dad wasn't a perfect parent. I loved him very much, but as I've said before, and I've written about this in our autobiography, he could, because of his own difficulties and his own upbringing, he could run on a very short fuse. He could be very bad-tempered in very short bursts, and. Back in the day, I was a kid, I was born in the mid-50s and grew up in the 60s. Most parents hit their kids, either with their hands or with sticks, I mean, a lot of my friends at school, when I was at junior school in Romford in Essex, their parents had a stick on the wall, which was there as a kind of a mute threat, and would occasionally be used. And Dad used to hit me with a stick sometimes, a bamboo stick, which bloody hurt. So he wasn't perfect. So what I learned from Dad was, if you like, the things not to do. I always remember thinking, after probably the last time Dad hit me with a bamboo cane several times, I remember thinking, I'll never do this to my kids.
Yeah.
I will never, ever, 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 ever hit my kids, ever. Because I knew it didn't do any good. It just made you furious. I mean, it didn't help.
Scared.
Yeah, it just made you scared and furious and resentful.
Yeah.
I was always super confident, absolutely certain that when I became, obviously a step-parent, but then when my own two came along, that was just something which was never going to happen. And I was never going to hopefully lose my temper with them. And I don't think I have. I remember the kind of the strongest discipline that we exerted was in poor old Jack. We've told this story before, but when Jack was very small, 3, 4, 5, he was a nightmare if we went out for a meal. If we went out for Sunday lunch to a pub or a restaurant or something, Jack, he hated it. He just wanted to watch telly and stay home playing with his toys. And he used to kick off in the car on the way there, screaming and shouting and kicking. And we'd go into wherever we were having lunch, and he would make a constant scene. And the only sanction that could eventually stop him would be to say, Jack, if you don't stop this nonsense now, I'm taking you to the car. And that meant taking him out to the car, putting him in his car seat, putting the belt on, shutting the door, and then I would just lean against the car and smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
And he hated that. And that was the ultimate sanction. That was the nuclear sanction with Jack. But it fell apart one day. We were in a lovely pub up in Lancashire called the Inn at Whitewell one Sunday, and Jack was at his worst. He's about 4 years old. And he was throwing bread rolls and kicking under the table and screaming and just making and throwing the cutlery around. And you could see all these other families in this big restaurant looking across with increasing loathing and impatience. Can't they control this horrible, horrible little kid? So eventually I did all right, Jack, that's it. I'm taking you to the car. And I got up and I picked him up and I put him over my shoulder. I started to weave my way through the tables, and you could see the relief on everyone else's faces. Thank God he's taking him out. I said, "Come on, Jack, we're going to the car." And he's looking behind me over my shoulder as I'm going out from the restaurant. And I suddenly felt him stiffen. And I realised he'd stretched both his hands out behind me in appeal to everybody in the restaurant. And he said, pure theatre this, he said, "Not the car, Daddy. Please, no, not the car." And everybody's faces changed. And I could see them thinking, what's he going to do to that poor
What's
child?
he going to do in the car?
He's going to tie him to the exhaust pipe and drive off. And I carried on, and I got out into the car park. And the moment we were outside, Jack burst out laughing. He knew what he'd done. He knew exactly what he'd done.
Yeah.
And I must say, I thought it was quite funny.
You know that feeling when you wake up and it's like you've slept, but you're still knackered? Well, I used to blame the kids, the late nights, my busy schedule, basically everything but what I was actually sleeping on, my mattress. Turns out that was a problem all along. When you're trying to rebuild yourself as a husband, a dad, a mate, whatever, you learn that good sleep isn't just a luxury, it's what you need to fill those roles. So over at On The Mend, my podcast, we switched to Simba, hybrid mattress. We chose this mattress as we learned the hybrid layers adapt to your body, keep you cool and give you proper support. All of this helps so much when you're waking up refreshed and you're not dragging yourself through the day. So you can become a better version of yourself through the power of sleep. Simba's won over 100 sleep awards and 6 Which Awards. Best buys, and I get why. You get over a 200-night free trial, a 10-year guarantee, and flexible finance options. So there really isn't a risk, and you'll get to see how amazing you really, really sleep. Honestly, it's amazing how much better life feels when you're well rested. Head to simbasleep.com/on-the-mend and give yourself the rest you deserve.
So we could never use that section again.
Yeah.
But not the car. We'd still tease him about it. Not the car, Daddy.
Not the car.
Not the car.
Can't wait.
So yeah, I learned. In a sense, I learned. My dad was very loving as well, and very affectionate and very forgiving. I learned all those things from him. But in terms of the most important lessons, I think they were the negatives, what not to do. What not to do. Stay cool, keep your temper, and for God's sake, don't touch them.
Yeah. And you were 49 when your dad died, right?
He was 49.
He was 49.
He was
right.
49. I was
So
21.
Quite young. That's quite young.
Yeah. I mean, God, yeah. I mean, I remember when I was 49, on August the 8th, this day, he died at 1:03 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I remember sitting, we were in France actually, I remember sitting on a veranda looking at the view, looking at my watch, and it got to 1:02, 1:03, 1:04. I was now officially older than my dad when he died.
Wow.
And I realised that I'd actually had a slightly irrational fear that maybe I too would pop my clogs.
That'd be the time.
Yeah, that would be my. It was weird. It's a stupid thing to even begin to think. But anyway, I always remember that moment as the second hand swept past the 3 minutes past the hour, thinking, okay, all right, okay, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
I've outlived him.
Yeah. But I mean, but that's a big moment. A parent dying. I mean, it's like, I haven't had a parent die yet. But I mean, I can only imagine like that's a kind of big moment in your life. Isn't
Well, I
it?
expect. Yes. How old are your parents?
They are in their late 60s now.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they've still got a bit of bit of gas in the tank. But of course, as your parents get older, my mother's dead now, but she died in her early 80s. You sort of accept it. I mean, that's none of us are going to live forever. But when a parent dies young, and particularly without any warning, I mean, my then wife and I, we'd spent the day on the beach, and we got back to where we were staying, and there was a note. It was long before mobile phones. There was a note we were staying in a caravan, on our caravan door saying, "Mr. Madeley, your mother called. Please call home." I thought, what the hell does mum want? And so went to the public call box, thinking, what? Nothing. Never suspecting that it was about somebody dying. And mum answered the phone very calmly and said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm in a phone box in Western Supermare." "Why?" She said, "Your father died at 1:03 this afternoon." And bloody hell, I mean, it was like being told that the moon was about to hit the earth. It was just unbelievably shocking. Unbelievably shocking. I mean, no time to say goodbye, to prepare, anything. That was a big seminal moment of my life, as you can tell. Here we are talking about it. But that's partly because today's the day, August the 8th. That was a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, how long did? how do you deal with grief?
You just have to go through it. You have to allow it to wash over and through you. It took me about a year before I felt reasonably normal again. I can still remember the day, actually. I remember every single day it would be on my mind, and I'm sure anyone who's lost someone they love dearly, particularly unexpectedly and particularly young, that will know what I'm talking about. It just sits with you. It sits in your stomach, like a lead ball. And you wonder if it's ever going to leave you. And obviously you're functional. You get on with your life and your job and all the rest of it, but it's there. You're dragging this ball and chain behind you. And then I remember Dad died, as I say, in August, and it must have been about July. I was doing the breakfast shift on the radio, and I came home and it was a lovely sunny day. We lived out in the country, and I went for a walk. And I realised suddenly that for the last half hour, I hadn't thought about him. I hadn't felt what I'd been feeling for the last, 10 months, 11 months. I felt normal, and I realised It had gone.
Yeah,
It wasn't that I was over it, because you always mourn someone, but that crippling grief had just finally evaporated.
Yeah.
It had been there the day before, but it wasn't there now, and I could tell it wasn't going to come back.
Yeah.
I'd gone through it. Whatever the process is, I'd now come out the other side, and it was over. God, the relief.
Yeah, I can imagine. You know, I've had a few people talk about this, which is that because a lot of people go through these periods of time where they feel like it's never going to end.
You feel like it's never going to end.
You feel like it's never going to end,
Yeah.
but this too shall pass.
Yeah,
Like time will
And it
take
does.
over, and it does
Yeah.
pass. You
Yeah.
can get through it.
Yeah.
Richard, thank you so much for coming on today.
I have absolutely loved this season and getting to chat to so many great guests. On the Mend is the place for looking back to move forward. Hit follow now and be part of the community.